Elon Musk, by Ashley Vance. This summary is brought to you by Hook My Book. Elon Musk is a computer scientist, entrepreneur, and space enthusiast who has made a name for himself by creating companies such as SpaceX and Tesla Motors. He has a stated life goal of turning humans into space colonists and believes that if we can solve sustainable energy, we have a bright future. However, some of his ideas, such as his plan to send people to Mars, are seen as absurd by some. Most CEOs have handlers who help them move about, listen to employees, and make decisions. Elon Musk is different. He mostly moves around on his own and listens to employees himself. He also has a lot of ideas, and he doesn't shy away from confrontation. Musk was born in South Africa in 1971, during the time of apartheid. This was a time when the races were strictly segregated and there was a lot of tension and violence between the different groups of people. As a result, Musk grew up feeling like an outsider and had a lot of difficulties fitting in. He found comfort in reading science fiction and fantasy books, and began to think about what it would mean to try to make the world a better place. Elon was born with a high IQ and an innate ability to focus on tasks. He would often go into deep thought or trances, where he could block out the world and focus on his thoughts. This helped him become a successful engineer, but it made him unpopular with other kids. Elon's parents separated and divorced when he was young, and he and his siblings were forced to move around a lot. His father, Errol, was not a very pleasant man to be around, and Elon eventually decided he wanted to live with his father. Musk escaped from his home country of South Africa in 1988 and traveled to Canada, where he attempted to find a job and contact his uncle. He was unsuccessful and ended up living in a youth hostel and working odd jobs. In 1995, at the age of 23, Musk left South Africa for the United States. He believed that America was the best place in the world to pursue his dreams, and he has since become one of the most successful entrepreneurs in history. Elon's first startup. Elon Musk started Zip2, a website that would create a directory of businesses. He and his brother, Kimball, found a studio apartment-sized office in Palo Alto and started the company. The office had no elevators, and the toilets often backed up. Zip2 started by buying a license to a business database. They then contacted Navtech, a company that had spent hundreds of millions of dollars to create digital maps and directions that could be used in early GPS navigation-style devices. Zip2 merged the two databases together to get a rudimentary system up and running. Over time, Zip2's engineers had to augment this initial data haul with more maps to cover areas outside of major metropolitan areas and to build custom turn-by-turn directions that would look good and work well on a home computer. The software used by Zip2 was actually pretty good, and people started to use it. The biggest problem was that no one was buying the ads, and the company was slowly going bankrupt. However, Musk kept working on the software, and eventually the company became successful. One of the things that helped the company become successful was the fact that Musk was always making improvements to the software. He also made it seem important by building a big physical machine that he would roll out in front of potential investors. Eventually, the company became successful, and Musk became a millionaire. PayPal. Later they sold Zip2 and the sale infused Musk with a new brand of confidence. Much like the video game characters he adored, Musk had leveled up. He was once an intern at the Bank of Nova Scotia, where he learned about the banking industry and realized that there was an opportunity to start an online bank. He eventually put this plan into action and founded X.com, a financial startup. He gathered a team of engineers. However, Musk's dream was cut short when he was forced to go to venture capitalists to find funding. Mike Moritz, a famed investor from Sequoia Capital, decided to back the company and made a bet on Musk, who then went on to attract more engineers and make the website even more revolutionary. The competition between X.com and Confinity led to a lot of spending and loss, but eventually, X.com became the bigger company. Later, X.com merged with Confinity. After the merger, there was a dispute between the two companies over technology. A group of X.com employees decided to push out Musk and replace him with Thiel. Musk eventually resigned, and Thiel took over as CEO. If X.com's board had been a bit more patient with Musk, there's good reason to believe he would have succeeded with delivery of the online bank to rule them all that he had set out to create. History has demonstrated that while Musk's goals can sound absurd in the moment, he certainly believes in them and, when given enough time, tends to achieve them. SpaceX. Space exploration is important to Elon Musk because he believes that mankind has lost some of its will to push the boundaries. He is worried that the average person sees space exploration as a waste of time and effort and rib him for talking about the subject, but Musk thinks about interplanetary travel in a very earnest way. He wants to inspire the masses and reinvigorate their passion for science, conquest, and the promise of technology. One day, Musk went to the NASA website and found that they had no plan or schedule for exploring Mars. This made him worried that America's spirit of manifest destiny had been deflated or maybe even come to a depressing end. He decided to form his own organization, the Life to Mars Foundation, to pursue a different project, a robotic greenhouse to Mars. This new plan seemed both ostentatious and feasible to the experts he gathered together in 2001, and he was inspired to pursue it. SpaceX was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk. He rented an old warehouse in El Segundo, California, and started assembling rockets there. He recruited a group of engineers and started developing a new, cheaper rocket. This new rocket could be used for smaller payloads and would compete with other large rockets. However, in 2004, PayPal went public and Musk's net worth increased dramatically. This allowed him to invest in SpaceX full-time. In 2006, SpaceX completed its first launch and began to manufacture rockets on a larger scale. In 2012, SpaceX completed its first manned mission to the International Space Station. Following Nevada's death, Musk threw himself at SpaceX and rapidly expanded the company's goals. He hired some of the best aerospace engineers in the world and set out to make SpaceX the best in the industry. Musk's conversations with aerospace contractors left him disenchanted, and he decided to make as much of SpaceX's products as possible right at SpaceX. Brown, Musk's loyal assistant, played a key role in developing SpaceX's early culture and reading his moods. SpaceX is a company that is trying to change the space industry by building their own engines, contracting with suppliers, and being cheaper and faster than the competition. They have a vision of building a mobile launch vehicle that can travel to various sites, take the rocket from a horizontal to vertical position, and send it off to space no muss, no fuss. They have an insanely ambitious timeline, and one of their goals is to send people to Mars. Musk is very demanding, but he is also kind and caring. He is constantly looking for ways to improve SpaceX and make it a top-notch company. Tesla. Eberhard, Tarpenning and Wright decided to start their own car company in the United States in 2003. They rented an office in a rundown building in Menlo Park and started to tell some of their friends about their idea to build an electric car. Most people were skeptical and didn't believe that an electric car could be built successfully. However, the Tesla team was determined and eventually found a lead investor, Elon Musk, who agreed to invest $6.5 million in the company. With this money, they were able to create a prototype car and start selling it direct to customers. Tesla's founding team had no automotive experience, but they were convinced that the 18650 lithium-ion battery was the future of automotive technology. They hired a bunch of young, hungry engineers and started figuring things out as they went along. They were also convinced that the Silicon Valley area had no real history of car companies succeeding, but they were determined to try anyway. They found a 2-story industrial building in San Carlos and started to build a research and development shop and a production facility to produce the Roadster. Their main team consisted of a few mechanical engineers, a few assembly people, and a very clever electrical engineer, Dave Lyons. Tesla started by supergluing batteries together to create bricks. They then placed these bricks together and tested different cooling mechanisms. They also lowered a Lotus Elise chassis into the car to see how the engine would work. 4 months later, they had a car that could be driven. They raised a $13 million funding round and planned to deliver the car to consumers in early 2006. However, they were facing a huge issue with their batteries. On July 4, 2005, they set off 20 batteries together and filmed the results. They learned a lot about batteries and how to prevent explosions. Thousands of batteries exploded along the way. However, the effort was worth it because they were on the verge of inventing battery technology that would set them apart from their rivals for years to come. Tesla's first electric car, the Tesla Roadster, was unveiled in 2006. The car was expensive and had a limited range. Tesla's goal was to make more affordable electric cars that would become more popular over time. Celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Eisner showed up to the unveiling event and took test rides in the cars. Tesla also announced that it had received $50 million in pre-orders for the cars. Tesla switched from marketing back into R&D mode as it prepared to launch its cheaper car. Pain and suffering. Tesla was having trouble making money, and they needed money to keep going. They had a lot of top talent, but they needed money to keep paying them. Tesla's money problem was that they spent too much money on the Roadster, which cost a lot of money. They needed money to keep going, but they didn't have any. Musk had recently started to gain a lot of press thanks to his work on PayPal and Tesla, but by 2007 his businesses were in trouble. Tesla was having transmission problems and SpaceX's second launch attempt failed. The press turned on him, and the Tesla Roadster was crowned the #1 tech fail of 2007. As his businesses and public persona suffered, Musk's home life degraded as well. Elon Musk had a turbulent year in 2007 to 2008. He started selling off prized possessions and put employees on tight budgets. Tesla basically had to start over on much of the Roadster, and SpaceX still had dozens of people living in Kwajalein awaiting the next launch of the Falcon 1. Both endeavors were vacuuming up Musk's money. He started training employees to make the right trade-offs between spending money and productivity. This struck many of the SpaceX employees as a novel idea. SpaceX's Falcon 1 rocket had a successful test fire in Texas 3 days prior to the launch of its first-ever commercial mission, carrying a military satellite and a few NASA experiments. The launch attempt on August 2, 2008, aborted at T-0 seconds due to a thrust issue with the new engines, leaving many SpaceX employees shattered. A few weeks later, the Falcon 1 was repaired and successfully launched on its fourth launch. Tesla was struggling financially in 2008, and the press was happy to report on this. In particular, a website called The Truth About Cars followed Tesla's progress with a Tesla Death Watch. This blog took special pleasure in ridiculing Tesla founder Elon Musk as a thief who had taken the company from its genius engineer, Eberhard. When Eberhard started a blog detailing the pros and cons of being a Tesla customer, the auto blog was all too happy to echo his gripes. In October 2008, Valleywag published an email from a Tesla employee that detailed the company's financial struggles and layoffs. SpaceX lost the NASA contract because Michael Griffin did not like how Musk ran the company. However, SpaceX was awarded the contract to supply the ISS because of Musk's ability to stay focused in the midst of a crisis. The Falcon 9 has become SpaceX's workhorse. Since getting past its near-death experience in 2008, SpaceX has been profitable and is estimated to be worth $12 billion. While the rest of the aerospace industry has been content to keep sending what look like relics from the 1960s into space, SpaceX has made a point of doing just the opposite. Its reusable rockets and reusable spaceships look like true 21st-century machines. The modernization of the equipment is not just for show. It reflects SpaceX's constant push to advance its technology and change the economics of the industry. Musk does not simply want to lower the cost of deploying satellites and resupplying the space station. He wants to lower the cost of launches to the point that it becomes economical and practical to fly thousands upon thousands of supply trips to Mars and start a colony. Tesla became profitable. In 2012, Tesla Motors Model S was proven very successful. At first, the more traditional automakers viewed the Model S as a gimmick and its surging sales as part of a fad. These sentiments, however, soon gave way to something more akin to panic. In November 2012, just a few months after it started shipping, the Model S was named Motor Trend's Car of the Year in the first unanimous vote that anyone in the magazine could remember. The Model S beat out 11 other vehicles from companies such as Porsche, BMW, Lexus, and Subaru and was heralded as proof positive that America can still make great things. Tesla's business model is different from other car companies. They sell electric cars and they make updates to the car software over the air. This is different from other cars where you have to take the car in for service. This is a practical difference because it saves you time and money. Tesla also has the edge in designing many of the key components for the cars in-house. This gives them more control over the car's design and makes it easier to update the car's software. Finally, Musk is a businessman and he wants to make as much money as possible. He has been good to the Democrats and President Obama is his friend, but he is not a blind loyalist. He uses his business skills to help his cause. Musk has an employment and manufacturing empire spread across the entire United States. He plans to expand the supercharger network, service centers, and battery swap stations. End of the summary. Thanks for listening.